Namaste everyone. Today I am explaining 2021's question from the GS2. Explain the concept of right to privacy as a fundamental right in the light of Supreme Court judgment KS Puttaswamy versus Union of India. It has to be answered in 150 words. I am giving a little bit of basics about right to privacy and also explaining the significance of Puttaswamy Judgement. So, just to address few basic points, if I have rights, like we need to understand what are rights. So, rights are basically entitlements. So, what are entitlements? So, entitlements are something they exist for you. That means that you need not to ask for. ಓಕೆ, ನೀವು ಕೇಳೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ರೈಟ್ಸ್ನ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ Article 21A, right to education from 6 to 14 years. So when such facilities are not given or when such rights are not given, you can approach the court. Okay, but unlike said, for example, say take an example of employment. So is an employment a right? So employment is not a right. So when you don't have an employment or when you don't get the employment, so you cannot ask someone or you cannot ask compulsorily to give an employment from the government. So that's why there is no right to employment. So the right to employment is not there, but right to education is there. So that's why rights are something which are entitlements that, like, it implicitly or it inherently it exists for an individual. Whether a person use it or he may not use it, but they already exist and then they are recognized by the states. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಹತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ರೈಟ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಹರಿದ್ದೀವ, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬಿಡೋದು ನಮಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಹರಿದ್ದೀವ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಎಂಟೈಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೈವಸಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರೈವಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಲೈಕ್ ಹೌ ಡಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೈವಸಿ, ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೈವಸಿ ಆರಿಜಿನೇಟ್ಸ್? ಸೊ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ there was nothing like the right to privacy was not part of fundamental rights. Okay, but later there are so many rights, as you know. Article 19 you have, like starting from Article 14 to Article 31, like Article 32 you have fundamental rights, correct? But there are so many rights recognized as a part of fundamental rights, but right to privacy was not recognized. But this issue, several judgments have recognized right to privacy, but only in case of Puttaswamy Judgement. It was explicitly recognized under Article 21A. Article 21. That is, Article 21 is right to life. Okay, under Article 21, it was explicitly recognized. See, if I want to speak about Article 21 has, though it says right to life, within Article 21, so many other rights are recognized. For example, if you take an example of right to environment, Article 21 has right to environment recognized. So in this context, like why it was recognized, what are the situations that led to Puttaswamy Judgement, we will speak about that. But before that, when I say right, see, we can, if you see in terms of like polity or political science, you can, at least for our understanding, cannot say for our understanding purpose, but like the basic tenets of the political science recognizes something which is public and something which is non-public. Okay, or you can also call it as a personal. Okay, so what is that public? So public is that anything that is concerned with the state. anything that is concerned with the state. When we say state, it could be government, it could be judiciary, it could be, we cannot say non-government organization. NGOs are not part of the state, they are part of civil society. So it could be lawmaking, or it could be any organizations which are substantially funded by government, or it could be panchayat raj institutions. So these are part of the state. So anything which deals with the state is called public. Then what is private? So private is like one's individual's information. For example, his personal life. When you say personal life, his body, his language, or his hobbies, his autonomy over his body. Like for example, what is his interest, right? Interest over movies, like what he wants to do in life, about his marriage, okay, what he wants to study, education, right? And then if you want to extend this topic, then things about sexual orientation, right? So these are the things that belongs to the personal space, right? Because the state or the government like need not to worry more about these issues, in the sense that an individual has some control or more control about like how he wants to, for example, say dress, how he wants to eat, or how he wants to live, right? So these are the issues that state generally do not worry about. Okay, so these issues we call it as a personal. So but however, there are links between personal and public and personal, right? Links between, so the links between personal and public. So in between, what you have called like civil society. The civil society is a link between personal and public space. So for example, your NGOs, so many organizations, right? So these are all there is a link between personal and public space. What used to happen before Puttaswamy Judgement? So some of the rights in personal space were not recognized. Rights in personal space were not recognized. So when the government came up with the concept of Aadhaar, so they wanted to capture all personal data. Okay, personal data including your iris, address, okay, then age, gender details. The government wanted to capture all these informations. Then what happened? Then somebody questioned, if you are getting, so these are the information that belongs to something personal. So then they attributed this to, like, if I am giving all this data to some agency, then what about my privacy? So there will be nothing left for the privacy. So because all the informations that I have, or which I think which is necessary for my happiness or my dignified living, they are all being given to the government. Okay, so in that case, like, is there anything, something called right to privacy? Is there anything that, if there is any way that I can, or if I want to give or not to give, so such details to government, is that possible? All those questions came up before the Supreme Court, and then eventually these were handled under the Puttaswamy case. So though some of the rights were previously in various other judgments, the right to privacy was kind of recognized, in previous judgments, but especially in Puttaswamy case, this right to privacy was given an explicit recognition. So that is the highlight of Puttaswamy's judgment. Explicit recognition under what? Under Article 21. So that means that now earlier, if there is any violation on the privacy, for example, if someone is misusing or someone is interfering in your personal sphere, so then those were usually handled in the case of say CRPC and IPC. Okay, so only for violations you can go via, for example, if someone is stacking, right, or if someone is by knowing your address, if someone misusing or constantly pestering you, right, those were issues that were handled under Article 21. But under Puttaswamy judgment, the moment you said it is coming under Article 21, that means so it becomes a fundamental right. The moment it becomes a fundamental right, you can go to judiciary directly for the violation of the act, and then you can seek remedies under Article 32. Right? You need not to go through the provisions that are available for CRPC and IPC. So though for any kind of, for example, any sort of harassment, you can still go under police system. But the point is that, so whether the courts can directly come into picture, right? The courts can directly come into picture. So yes, after Puttaswamy judgment, the right to privacy becomes explicit. The right to privacy becomes part of Article 21, and they become the fundamental right. So the moment when they become the fundamental rights, you can go to judiciary directly and then seek remedies under constitutional remedies under Article 32. Right. So this is the highlight of the Puttaswamy judgment. Like if you want to elaborate, right? Okay. See what is that what are the significance or other significance that gave by Puttaswamy judgment. For example, during answer writing, though this is just a one point, like you have to break it down to several points. So for example, if it is a 150 mark question, you have to break it down to at least like 7-8 points so that you will get a good marks. So how do you break it down? For example, you have to just think of in a broader view how this is going to help. Think from several perspectives. Think from the perspective of the personal perspective, like what happens to the individual. Think from the perspective of the state. Think from the perspective of judiciary. Okay. Think from the perspective of legal system, and then think from like overall protection, third parties. So you keep these pointers and then keep thinking so that you can generate the points. For example, first points, right? So if you have a right to privacy, like it enhances, like it protects the dignity of an individual, right? Protects the dignity of individual. For example, if you are aware of human rights, so right to privacy is also an important human right. These human rights are recognized under United Nations Declaration of Human Rights also, 1948. So basically this enhances the quality of life. Enhances the quality of life or meaningful experience of life, right? So then it strengthens, okay? It strengthens legal mechanisms. It strengthens the legal mechanisms to protect aspects of privacy. Then what is the fourth point you can say? For example, you can seek, as I said already, it is like it recognizes under Article 21. So and then it also broaden the meaning of right to life. Then also one can seek judicial remedy. Then if you think from the perspective of the state, so from the state can't arbitrarily intervene or interfere. Okay, for example, any data now protected. Okay, now protected and can't be misused. Okay, for example, if further usage of the data, for example, in the context that data collected under Aadhaar, okay, Aadhaar needs consent from the user. So for example, if you are involving some other third party, right, if third parties are involved, then they also need to be part of the system, so that like it brings a checks and balances. It brings checks on how data is used, and then what if the data breach happens, right? What if data breach happens? Okay, see, all these points you can bring in. and then it protects any like how to handle data breach issues, right? So further, in the data protection laws were actually uh, um, built upon this right to privacy aspects only. So for example, these data are the, so basically this enhances overall legal system around privacy, aspects of privacy. Further, importantly, it also strengthen the voice of LGBT. Okay, based on the right to privacy only, the later Section 377 was scrapped, was struck down. Okay, so Section 377, which is that which criminalizes homosexuality, is not more a criminal activity. Like you can also speak about consensual sex, etc. here, but right to privacy was a major strength to LGBT section, right? So this is how you speak from the various perspective and then keep on building your answer, right? You can just speak in like 2-3 lines and then need not to worry about like writing in a paragraph, so that it was asked for a 150 marks question, 150 words, and then 10 markers. So if you are writing 7 8 points, up to 10 points, it depends like how do you write your points, like 7 8 valid points, these are fine. Though 7 8 points are like not very distinct, of course one point is subset of another, but to make it answer like legible for the examiner, so we are making it 7 8 points. So the same thing I have done it here. For example, if you see one of the answer I had written, just a moment. So explain the concept, explain the right to privacy, and then in the context of Puttaswamy Judgement. What I have done is here I have spoken about the right to privacy. Let me open this one. So I have spoken about right to privacy refers to rights or personal decision and personal decisions and control over personal aspects of life, etc. Then it is essential for dignity of an individual. Then I spoke about Puttaswamy Judgement. Whatever the points I have given, like in whatever the points I discussed, just I wrote them in like brief points, like 7 8 points I wrote depending on my handwriting. And then I, since it's a 10 marker, I just concluded saying that right to privacy strengthens the overall fundamental right and enhances the quality of life, right? So this is how like one way of answering the question using the point format. Yeah, in the next videos I will be discussing some of the PYQs. If this video is of any helpful, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.